It's a test of speed, risk, and the survival of the fittest. 6 stages of the Canoe Kayak World Cup, 3 legs in whitewater slalom boils down to one final challenge, the unforgiving mystique of the whitewater channel in Augsburg, Germany. For 38 years, it has confronted the world's best paddlers, and today it poses a daunting challenge to slalom athletes gunning for gold.
Augsburg has a very long tradition in the sport of canoeing. We have had the World Championships in the 50s already, and with the Olympic Games in 1972, the decision was made to build a new artificial course, and this is the course we still paddle on. Looking back, it's a great venue. The whole area gives you training opportunities from low level up to high level elites on different water. The channel has a U-shaped profile, so the water cannot move sideways or not much, so it builds up some pressure and some water piles in some areas, and it disappears within seconds. And if you're not used to it, it's really hard to paddle on. That's why I think that's probably the biggest home advantage we have, as we know the water here really well.
Starting out this World Cup final with the doubles canoe, anchored by Slovakia's Hochschorner brothers, the reigning Olympic champions. But dropping in at the top of the course, the German team of Michael and Piercy. The idea here is to move upstream around those red poles and downstream around the green poles to be as fast as you can without touching them. If you touch them with your boat, body, or paddle, that's 2 seconds for a touched gate, 50 seconds for a miss. German team working their way around the rock in the middle of the course, a little push, won't slow them down on the way to the finish. The team is happy with their run in the final. The British crew of Bally and Stott working their way into gate 1, the upstream gate at the top of the course. Now coming down through the rapid that the athletes call the washing machine, as you can see by the turbulent, boily water here in Augsburg. This crew believes this might be the most technically challenging race of the World Cup. These guys put a high emphasis on working together, and they're doing a nice job of that here at the finish.
1:15.63. All right, we have it.
The French team of Lefebvre and Gargot-Canoe have joined forces in the doubles canoe to make this year's World Cup a whole lot more interesting as they move through the middle of the course, coming up on the move and around the whale rock, and they're capsizing on that upstream edge. They're upside down, and they are out of the boat. They're going to need the help of the safety crew. Steadily improving through this World Cup has been the German crew of Becker and Hens, former world champions, paddling very well on their home course and looking for a big result at the World Championships in La Seu d'Urgell, Spain later this year. But first things first, the move across the backwash on that wave, a great upstream gate on the near side, working their way over to the boily upstream on the far side of the river. And a sprint to the finish. Let's see if it's good enough for gold. Before the Germans can claim victory on their home course, they'll have to knock off these guys, the reigning Olympic champions from Slovakia, the Hochschorner brothers. That's Pavel in the bow or the front of the boat, and Peter in the stern or the back of the boat, working very nicely on this channel. Very methodical, very well planned out, exquisite communication on the water and off for these twin brothers, 3-time Olympic champions, the Hochschorners. Trying to challenge the Hochschorners with everything they have are Slovakia's up-and-coming doubles canoe team, the Skontar brothers, taking a 2-second penalty there. They've had a lot of good racing during this World Cup, but the pressure is really on in this finale. This is a test of consistency. Not just speed in a one-time race, a lot of strokes through this upstream gate in that boily eddy. Good experience for the Skontars.
Third place.
Making their way out of the start and onto the course here in Augsburg, Germany is the Polish team of Pakvala and Stepanski. First appearance in a final in this 2009 World Cup. Picking up some experience and picking up a 2-second penalty in the middle of the course. And one more touch, that's 2 seconds for each penalty. Can have that in the final, but a good experience nonetheless. The last boat of this World Cup final is the Czech Republic team of Wolf and Stepanek, silver medalists at the Olympics in Beijing. Known as a power team, these guys have really added an element of finesse and technique to their game as they come into the upstream gate right in front of our cameras, putting you right in the boat with Wolf and Stepanek, taking a touch right there near the bottom of the course, and that could hurt them in the end.
We have it. The time is 1:15.3. Third place goes to Wolf Stepanek.
So it's Germany's Becker and Hengs the gold, Slovakia's Hochschorner brothers the silver, and Czech Republic's Wolf Stepanek the bronze.
The middle part with 8, 9, 10, 11 was very difficult, and that's the thing that we go backwards, and yeah. But now it was a difficult course, but we like this course. And
it's a loaded men's kayak field here at the World Cup final in Augsburg, Germany, and we'll be keeping our eye on Germany's Alexander Grimm, reigning Olympic champion. But first, the Olympic silver medalist at that same race, Fabien Lefebvre of France, the most technically gifted kayaker on the circuit. Look how easy he makes this water look. Minimum number of strokes, soft boat balance, knows exactly where every stroke is going. Wawrynek Radilek from the Czech Republic, making his second final in as many weeks. These kayakers are seated with their feet in front of them, using a two-bladed paddle, getting a nice side profile look at the course as he works his way under the final bridge, through the last stopper, and you can't miscalculate that sprint to the finish. It takes longer than you think to get there. Last week's winner, Great Britain's Campbell Walsh, dropping in at the top of the course. Campbell, an outstanding technician who has some lightning quick strokes, like the exit sweep out of that upstream gate, moving his boat crisply over the waves. Technical move behind the stopper, into the upstream gate, a push off the wall, cross over to the final upstream, and a 2-second penalty. That's a tough break in the men's kayak class. Germany's Alexander Grimm paddling on his home course for his first time in World Cup action as the reigning Olympic champion from Beijing, China last year. The crowd is cheering very loudly as he comes into the spin dry, the rapid at the bottom of the course, and into the finish. One athlete who we know will be attacking this course and attacking this field is Italy's Daniel Momenti. Won a gold medal at the European Championships earlier this year. A very power-oriented paddler. Just churning, never lets the water beat him. Every stroke is a fight to the finish for Daniel. Perhaps the one kayaker in this field that can lay claim to best all-around kayaker in the world is Slovenia's Peter Kauser. But first, they'll have to beat the river here in Augsburg. Great combination of power, technique, finesse, and patience. But here, He's turning the paddle over quickly, getting great boat movement on each and every stroke. Nice pivot turn off the back edge of his kayak, working his way into the rapid that the athletes call the spin dry, as the rapid spins around a very hard right-hand turn, and now across the backwash of the stopper into the upstream, a push off the wall. He's building momentum as he heads towards the bottom of this course. A great World Cup final run for Kauser. Ireland's Owen Reinish dropping in at the top of the course. His first appearance in a World Cup final in 2009, making his way around and over the whale rock at the rapid called the Washing Machine. Owen building off a fourth place finish at the Olympics in Beijing last year with a great result here. Next on the course, Poland's Gregor Polaczyk trying to deliver his program its first medal of this 2009 World Cup season, paddling very authoritatively in the Washing Machine. A little bit rigid on the surf across to the Boilie upstream, a little bit high, which is extra time that you don't want to give away near the bottom of the course. But good paddling by Gregor. The last men's kayak of the day, Germany's Sebastian Schubert. Nice head duck and one-stroke upstream in gate one. Paddling very tight, trying to find the shortest possible distance between every gate on this course. When you paddle a course like this one every day, as Sebastian does, you can make one-stroke upstreams like that one right there. And he's paddling very well at the bottom of the course, but has picked up a 50-second penalty, which means somewhere out in this whitewater, he has missed a gate, which means no medal today, but good experience nevertheless. So it's Slovenia's Peter Kauser taking the gold, Germany's Alexander Grimm the silver, and Italy's Daniel Momenti the bronze.
Just enjoying down the course. I had really fun, and winning here in Augsburg on Olympic champions home course, that's something, you know. I hope I will keep on going with these results and with these kind of runs. The course was a little bit harder than yesterday. You should really show your skill, how you can paddle down the course, and I managed that, and I had really fun down the course, especially in the final.
The World Cup ranking system is based on 3 World Cup races each year, plus a continental championships, because we would like, it's a world event and not a European event. And our sport is really European dominated, so to ensure that we get world-class athletes and exposure around the world, we include 2 continental championships. You get a certain amount of points for winning the race in each category, and then each place below that gets certain points. At the end of the championships of those competitions, the winner is declared, and they get some prize money and a plate trophy for winning the World Cup series.
Next up are the singles canoe at this World Cup final in Augsburg, Germany, and we'll be keeping an eye on 2-time Olympic champion from France, Tony Estanguet. But first, his teammate from France, Nicolas Peschier. Nicolas, a 2004 Olympian from Athens, Greece. The singles canoes are kneeling on 2 knees and using a one-bladed paddle as Nicolas sprints to the finish. Great Britain's David Florence, the next boater on the course. He's had some outstanding results in the World Cup so far. Working his way through the upstream gate and taking a 2-second penalty. 2 seconds added if you touch the pole with your boat by your paddle. He's gonna have to keep going to the finish. Can't stop in whitewater slalom, you have to keep going. great to see Christos Sakamakis from Greece in a World Cup final, his first in the 2009 season, contorting his body through the green downstream gates, paddling up for the upstream gate, getting a wide-angle view of this course, and you really begin to see how big and surgy this white water is. Christos doing a nice job of keeping his paddle out in front of him where he can really control his boat and the water, and a nice run in the final for Christos. The highlight of the 2009 World Cup season for the American program has been the performance of this paddler, Ben Fraker. You're getting a nice look at Ben working his way through the rapid the athletes call the Zoom Flume, as Ben zooms his boat over to the Boyley upstream gate on the far side of the course. Ben adding a nice element of power into his performance, getting caught on the back stern of his boat, unintentionally spinning the boat around. He has to recover though, and he's working his way well to the finish line. When this World Cup started, we called this athlete, Slovakia's Mate Benes, an up-and-coming and developing paddler. Well, no more of that. He is a true force to be reckoned with on this circuit. He has raced consistently, he has won medals, and he is moving his boat extremely well through the course here in Augsburg. Well, there's no doubt the Germans love to paddle well in front of their hometown fans. The next one to do that is canoeist Jan Benzing, showing a great head duck, and why these athletes are so comfortable on their home course. They know every inch of this water into the finishing sprint, and a great run for Jan. If there's an athlete looking for a good race today, it's this one from France, Tony Estanguet, working his way through the Zoom Flume. Hasn't won a World Cup in over a year. And while he bumps that downstream gate, that's actually not a 2-second penalty. He'd already gone through that gate before, so that gate was a dead gate by the time he gets there. He's not going to let that distract him as he works his way beautifully through the channel here in Augsburg. Tony, that combination of power and precision, he knows he has a good run going as he comes into the rapid that the athletes call the spin dry, on to the finish, going for his first gold of the season. The last canoeist of the day in this World Cup final, Germany's Sideris Tisidis, on his home course in front of his home crowd, cheering him on. A very small, lightweight, compact style, uses the water very well. Great sprint to the finish and a great final for Sideris. So it's France's Tony Estanguet taking the gold, Germany's Sideris Tisidis the silver, and Germany's Jan Benzing the bronze.
C'était pas mal, ouais. Ça fait du bien de retrouver la première place après.
It's good to get the first place after a 2008 season that wasn't very good, and the beginning to a 2009 season that's been complicated. It's good to hang on and finally be back on top. I'm very satisfied with my race and a very good final. Very hard, physically, a little tired after these 3 weeks of competition, but at the end I go back home with some encouragement for these World Championships.
Ouais, un peu d'encouragement pour ces championnats du monde. Moi j'ai trouvé
I found it was hard from the start to the finish. The sequence from gate 6 to 12 was really full of challenges, and I found it very complicated, very technical. It was necessary at the same time to engage yourself and be very close to your internal side, very precise. It's really a difficult venue because the water moves a little slow in this place. Thus, it's necessary to adapt. Historically in Augsburg, I was never very good. I have never had very good results, and I believe that in 10 or 15 races, I've only won 1 medal, and thus I've never won here. And finally, it's happened, and and it makes me feel very good that I've won. The last category of the day here at the World Cup final in Augsburg, Germany is the women's kayaking event. We'll be keeping an eye on two-time Olympic champion from the Czech Republic, Stepanka Hilgertova. But first boat on the course is Slovakia's Gabriela Stakarova. These women kayakers are seated with their feet in front of them, using a two-bladed paddle just like the men's kayak. A good start to the World Cup final for the women, Gabriela Stakarova. Ready to delight these hometown fans, Germany's Jennifer Baumgart, former world champion. Great to see her in the final, her first one of the 2009 season. Many of Jennifer's teammates running her down the course, calling out her name, pushing her on. Every little bit of energy helps as she makes her way into the bottom of the course and into the sprint to the finish. Leaving the start area and onto the channel here in Augsburg is the Czech Republic's Marie Ryhouskova, darting into the upstream gate and right back out into the current. What a great honor it must be for these athletes to be racing on the 1972 Olympic whitewater course. Great history, great tradition, and Marie doing a great job of representing the sport well here at the World Cup final. Great Britain's Elizabeth Neves next on the course, coming down through the rapid that the athletes call the Zoom Flume, maneuvering her way through the downstream gate in the middle of the current, over to the red upstream gate, and now crossing the channel, taking a 2-second penalty as her boat just pops up over the wave and touches that pole. But she doesn't stop. Very high energy stroke rate all the way to the finish line. The Czech Republic's Stepanka Hilgertova, one of the greatest women kayakers of all time, twice an Olympic gold medalist, now 41 years old and still as sharp as ever. And guess who her training partner is? It's her 22-year-old son, who's actually one of the top kayakers in the Czech Republic. And look at Stepanka making her way through this course in Augsburg. A great sweep stroke through the slack water. And now into the finish line. She has not lost a step. Stepanka Hilgertova. Slovakia's hopes for a gold medal in the women's kayak class rest with this athlete, Jana Dukatova. The perfect combination of strength, technique, and finesse, showing it all as she works her way into this upstream, looking very calm, collected on the water, positioning the boat right where she wants it to be. Strong finish for Jana Dukatova. The final racer of the day, China's Li Jingjing, hoping to rebound from a disappointing performance at the Olympics in Beijing last year, where she had a very physical and attacking style. You can see that she is slowed down, a little more methodical, a little more technical, and a little bit more precise, and it seems to be working well for her here as she takes a big step forward towards the World Championships later this year in Spain. So it's Slovakia's Jana Dukatova taking the gold, Czech Republic's Stepanka Hilgertova the silver, and Germany's Jennifer Baumgart the bronze.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the race was good for me today. The course was very hard. I'm a technical paddler, so it was a big advantage for me. But it's always hard to beat the German paddlers here on their home course, so I'm really happy I managed. There were more combinations of gates which were difficult. Number 2, number 10, also this part down here. And I'm really happy I made a clean run and fast run.
As it seems to happen every year, the challenge of the Augsburg Whitewater Channel has revealed itself once again. Turbulent and unpredictable whitewater foiled many, but for a few, they were ready to answer the river's call and find a place on one of the sport's most respected podiums. Thank you for joining us for another exciting season of Canoe Kayak World Cup Racing.